Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. Kleist. Your Excellency, Mr. President Grimson, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first of all express our deep appreciation for allowing us to make this presentation. The establishment of this forum is very timely, as people from diverse backgrounds interested in Arctic, government officials, researchers, business, can gather and exchange views across their fields. And I would like to pay my highest respect to Your Excellency, Mr. Grimson, the President of Iceland, for the foresight and untiring effort in bringing all of us here. And let me also thank Your Excellency, Mr. Kleist, for former Prime Minister of Greenland, for being the moderator for this session. The Arctic is now facing significant environmental changes caused by the advancing global warming. According to the fourth assessment report published in 2007 by the ICCP, during the 100 years of the 20th century, the average temperature rose by 0.74 degrees centigrade in the whole world, and more than 2 degrees centigrade in the Arctic. The change caused by global warming are not limited to the reduced Arctic sea ice, but at land, permafrost, ice sheets and glaciers are also melting. These changes have raised serious challenges for the international community, including Japan. They are extremely serious in the sense that they could impact not only the Arctic region, but also the entire global environment. For instance, scientists point out of a vicious circle of declining sea ice with high reflectance, resulting in increased absorption of solar heat, which leads to even greater reduction of sea ice. It is also indicated that the melting of ice and permafrost causes emission of methane, a powerful greenhouse gas, which leads to the acceleration of global warming, the so-called Arctic amplification phenomenon. Ocean acidification, which is the most evident in polar regions, is another problem that could affect the entire marine ecosystem. Japan has been a leading country in the field of scientific research of ocean acidification, which is with its detailed scientific observation. And the leading expert in this field, Professor Shirayama, Executive Director of Research, Japan Agency for Marine Earth Science and Technology, will give a presentation later on this topic. Having said that, not everything happening in the Arctic is problematic. A new shipping route between Asia and Europe is about to emerge along the northern coast of Russia due to declining Arctic sea ice. Exploitation of the vast reserve of energy resources presumed to lie in the Arctic, especially natural gas, is also becoming a possibility. Thus, environmental changes in the Arctic present international community with new economic opportunities too. However, it goes without saying that possible impacts on human activities over the vulnerable natural environment in the Arctic must be carefully examined if we are to make use of these opportunities. This observation reveals that though environmental changes are phenomena occurring within the geographical range of the Arctic, their impact reaches out to the entire world. To put it simply, the challenges and the opportunities surrounding the Arctic are both regional and global. We need to respond properly to the environmental changes in the Arctic with a full awareness of these two-sidedness, To this end, addressing the following two challenges is particularly important. First is to grasp, based upon scientific research, what is going on in the Arctic and its impact on the global environment in order to precisely predict further changes and take necessary measures to tackle negative impact. Second, we have to reach a common understanding on appropriate manners of economic use of the Arctic, including the measures for minimizing risks like unexpected accidents or damages to the environment. In addressing these challenges, we should naturally respect the centrality of regional states and Arctic indigenous peoples. Nevertheless, a wide range of international cooperation become essentials when we take into account their scale of impact as global issues. A prerequisite for promoting such international cooperation and discussions is to ensure that actions taken in the Arctic are based upon the rule of law. From this perspective, Japan welcomes that territorial disputes and maritime delimitation issues in the Arctic have been settled peacefully in accordance with the international law. Also, Japan maintains, as a maritime state, that the relevant international law, including the law of sea, the UNCLOS, needs to be applied to the seas around the world, including the Arctic Ocean, and that the principles of international law, including freedom of navigation, need to be respected therein. In the Arctic Ocean, being mostly an ice-covered area, an appropriate balance between such principles as freedom and safety of navigation and protection of marine environment needs to be achieved. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of its policy of proactive contribution to peace based on the principle of international cooperation, we plan to take necessary measures even more proactively in order to resolve global issues. We, to the best of our ability, are ready to contribute to the international efforts to address the two challenges that I mentioned earlier. As a neighbor of the Arctic region, Japan has a long history of scientific observation and research in the Arctic for more than 50 years. The fruits of this endeavor are not limited to our research on ocean acidification, which I mentioned. We also provide scientific analysis on ongoing environmental changes in the Arctic, utilizing, for example, Earth observation satellites with most advanced technologies such as Shizuku or GCOM-W, as shown in the slide. Thus, I'm convinced that Japan's scientific expertise will greatly contribute to the international community in elucidating ongoing changes in the Arctic environment and elaborating measures to be taken. Also, Japan is committed to utilizing its advanced science technology to the greatest extent possible with a view to minimizing risks involved with increased human activities in the Arctic and realizing its economic use in a way beneficial to the international community. Now, let me try to introduce some specific initiatives that Japan is planning. First, we must tackle global warming as an underlying cause of environmental change in the Arctic. 7 years ago, our Prime Minister Shinzo Abe proposed a goal of reducing global greenhouse gas emission by 50% by the year 2050. At the UN Climate Summit convened in New York this September, our Prime Minister reaffirmed this target and introduced Japan's new action with 3 key concepts, namely support for developing countries, technological innovation and diffusion, and contribution to the international framework. The key to achieve this ambitious goal is innovation. It requires sharing the best knowledge in the world and combining strengths of government, businesses, and academia. With this recognition, the Innovation for Cool Earth Forum, or ICEF, was established as an international forum to assemble global wisdom from business, public, and academic sector together. And the first conference was held in Tokyo on 8 October with some 800 participants from about 80 countries. We will host this forum every year. Through these initiatives, we would like to promote innovation in the energy and environmental field, thereby contribute to the solution of the problem of global climate change, including in the Arctic. Any attempt to consider measures for addressing environmental change in the Arctic would require first and foremost elucidation of relevant facts by scientific means. We need to understand, analyze, and predict how chemical substances with greenhouse effects, such as methane and black carbon effect, affects the warming of the Arctic. Japan has conducted various researches for unraveling facts on global warming. In high-latitude regions, including the Arctic, with the cooperation of the countries concerned, we are carrying out greenhouse gas observation by setting up observation points on the ground and using aircraft. There's no picture. We hope to strengthen international cooperation to conduct even more elaborate observation. We hope to enhance such efforts so as to clarify and predict more in detail the impact of Arctic environmental change on the global climate change. As for ocean acidification that I mentioned, Japan has been conducting researches on its ecological impacts by dispatching its own research vessel Mirai to the Arctic Ocean. For deeper understanding, more comprehensive research involving more observation points is needed. Therefore, Japan intends to further promote cooperation, joint research, especially with Arctic countries. We have also been conducting underwater survey on submarine topography, utilizing its autonomous underwater vehicle named Urashima. We consider it our next challenge to achieve a breakthrough innovation necessary for developing a new AUV which can conduct survey missions even under the harsh conditions of the Arctic Ocean. Economic activities in the Arctic, such as the operation of ships in the Arctic sea route and the exploitation of energy resources, are conducted under harsh natural environment. Such activities are more dangerous than those under normal conditions, and given that the natural environment in the Arctic is extremely vulnerable, it is imperative to prevent unexpected accident and to minimize risk to the environment. For example, for safe navigation in the Arctic or smooth exploitation of resources, a variety of information on underwater conditions like ebb and flow, ocean current, and submarine topography needs to be collected. However, with present technology, observation activity under ice-covered surface are not easy. The underwater technology that I mentioned earlier for studying marine ecology in the Arctic could eventually be used to gather such information. Establishment of a navigation system to help ships traveling in the Arctic is also one of our future challenges. While working on a research to improve prediction accuracy of Arctic sea ice distribution and weather conditions, Japan is advancing a project for developing an Arctic navigation system by integrating such prediction information with data gained from various Earth observation satellites. To pursue such ambitious goal, it is obvious that enhanced international collaboration and cooperation is required. We plan to establish a center for education and research in each Arctic state, including here in Iceland, for promoting researchers' exchange and developing international joint research programs. And in April next year, we will host the Arctic Science Summit Week in Toyama City, where the Arctic research institutions and researchers will gather from all around the world. We warmly welcome your participation to this commemorative event of the 25th anniversary of the International Arctic Science Committee. Moreover, Japan will feed back the outcomes gained from these scientific observation and research initiatives to the international community. We very much appreciate the kindest support from the Arctic state, which enabled us to participate in the Arctic Council as an observer in May last year. And in the wake of this, we will with our own expertise, we will be happy to make further contribution to the AC-related working group and task force. In order to address properly the challenges arising from the change in the Arctic environment on the one hand, and to make the most of emerging opportunities on the other, it is necessary for the international community to promote cooperation without falling into an exclusive and competitive relationship. As a responsible member of the international community and a state with long years of achievements in the Arctic observation and research, and proud of our advanced science and technology, Japan is committed to playing a proactive role in promoting international cooperation in relation to the Arctic. Thank you for your patience.